international economics and trade has changed in many ways. After the Second World War, international economic activities are ruled by in many ways. For example, GATT, that is led by the United States and the several Western European countries, they wanted to rule the trade or economic issues, and they made the system. For several decades, this system drove the international economic and trade activities. By the way, we have many other paradigms for these activities. In 1980s, many countries, they wanted new paradigms, new tools for the control of international economic and the trade activities. Then they started new negotiations. And then they launched the new system, that is WTO. Then they realized that they need more members. After 2000, Russia and China and many other countries, they joined to these new systems. Then the WTO systems, they became the real international legal infrastructure to rule, to control, to drive the international economic and trade activities. Nowadays, these systems, these multilateral, real international drive, control, economic activities system has the many new issues. For example, developing issues. Nowadays, many developing countries, more than 100 countries are developing level. They want to talk about many issues for themselves. These countries are wanted to make many issues for themselves. And then international communities pressed the international organizations, including WTO system. So WTO systems, they made many stages to talk about these issues for developing members. Nowadays, WTO has more than 160 members. So majority of WTO systems are developing countries. Developing countries, when they are making up their voice for their issues, they broadened their eyes for the international level. So they need new paradigms, new legal infrastructure. So they invented new tools. Then the traditional leader country, such as developed country, US, the Western European countries, had to consider the voice of developing countries and other parts, such as Russia, China, or Brazil. So before then, the third countries, nowadays, they are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. As time goes by, their voices are also bigger. So WTO systems are changing the legal infrastructure for the control or drive of the international economic or trade activities are also changing. considering developing members or third country members, not just for the developed members. By the way, recently we can see another types of changes. That is regionalism. If we can call the traditional one, that is the WTO system, as the multilateral control type, but nowadays, some members of WTO system, they started to talk about their own issues with their more friendly groups or countries. For example, neighboring countries. Let's say the example, one European country, France, they want to make more favored control trade regulation to the Germany. So they made better trade regulation system rather than normal WTO system rules. So they invented their own trade or economic activities regulation. So that is new types of legal infrastructure for these issues. Then we can see the many examples: European Union, NAFTA in North American areas, or Mercosur in Southern American area. Southeast Asia, for example, they have the AFTA. So these special trade or economic legal infrastructure is only for the 10 members of Southeast Asian countries, that is ASEAN members. So these rules should be applied for the trade activities or economic activities among the ASEAN members, that is the 10 Southeast Asian countries. So these rules exist with the multilateral, that is the WTO level, legal infrastructure together. So nowadays we have two types of different legal infrastructure for our economic or trade activities in the international stages. So international community has various types of legal infrastructure for the economic or trade activities. By the way, from the regionalism, we can see another developed rule types. If we call the regional trade regulation tool, such as European Union rules or NAFTA rules, is the traditional one, then sometimes we can see the crossover the continental tools. For example, Korea has many free trade agreements with other countries in the another continent. For example, US, European Union, or even Chile. So Korea-Chile FTA, free trade agreement, make different types of legal infrastructure. So two member countries, Korea and Chile, their economic or trade activities are ruled by their own free trade rules. Of course, Korea, Chile are also the WTO members. So basically, they must follow the multilateral trade regulation, WTO rules. And also, they have to consider their own their own international rules. So, Korea-Chile, Korea-US, US-Chile, and Russia has lots of various types of those kind of free trade rules with neighboring countries. So, let me see the view of a map of free trade agreement or preferential trade agreement. It's like a web, very complicated situation. So many countries have to consider more difficult, complex regulation tools. Nowadays, we have to control, or sometimes we have to overcome those kind of types of problems. So as time goes by, we can see that the power of normal multilateral legal tools, such as WTO system, the power or effect should be decreased. At the same time, the preferentialism or regionalism, the power of regionalism or preferentialism, such as FTA, will be increased. So each country have to think about the future, considering the changes of the power of different types of rules. Then what can we do? We have to see the future, and we have to invent new types of rules to overcome those kind of complicated situations. What can you do? That is our purpose of studies. Thank you.